Am I wrong for following the don't ask, don't tell policy in our marriage? I have been having arguments with my wife and standing my ground on a policy we made when we were dating. However, somehow, I feel I might be in the wrong and wanted to get a neutral opinion on the issue. For context, my wife and I are both in our mid-30s and deeply religious. Please don't judge us on this. She is quick to judge people who do not have the same belief system as her. I also like our modest lifestyle and how great of a wife she has been. However, I was not always like this. I grew up in a small religious town in the South where our social life revolved around the church. I worked very hard to get into a college on the East Coast as far away from my town. As any person who has repressed his desires for years, I had a very wild college life and slept with a lot of girls. After I graduated, I continued to be the same until I met a girl who became deeply emotionally involved with me. Despite I clearly communicating I wanted to date casually, could not take the fact that I was with other girls when dating her, and she had an emotional breakdown, thought I was cheating on her. I cared about her too, and it broke something in me. I started therapy and learned that I had an addiction problem and worked very hard to improve myself. I also joined a church around that time and started appreciating my religious upbringing. I reconnected with my parents and sisters and was celibate for almost 2 years. I only dated with the goal of getting married and met Amy, my wife. We had similar values, and she was saving herself for marriage. I told her about my past, and she said that she only cares about my present and future. As we started getting close, we started discussing sex, and she told me that she is worried that it would be painful when we eventually do it. Me, being a stupid buffoon, told her about girls who were virgins when we slept together and how they described their experience. She turned pale like she saw a ghost, and we had a big fight. She said I should never mention my exes and sex life to her ever again as it was disgusting. I agreed, and we implemented our don't ask, don't tell policy. It basically means she would never ask me about my past, and I would never bring it up. Recently, my friend Emily divorced her husband. Emily was my best friend since childhood. We are from the same town, and also close to my wife. We all live in the same town. Emily and her husband were also part of our church. My wife and I let Emily move in our house while her husband moved out. My wife and I have been helping Emily with some household stuff and getting her life in order. This sometimes involves her calling us in the evening to take care of some stuff or help with her kids. My wife mentioned to me that she was a bit uncomfortable with me spending alone time with Emily because she is now single. However, she understands Emily is like family to me and wants me to help her and her kids in her time of need. So, my wife asked me if Emily and I have ever been intimate with her in the past. She knows we never dated, but she wants to know if we ever kissed. The truth is Emily and I were FWB for almost 3 years, until I started therapy. Emily and I always kept it a secret and never told anyone. I am a changed man now and intend to stay loyal to my wife until I die. I told my wife that it is irrelevant as I am a loyal husband and cannot believe she would think I would be attracted to Emily. I did offer to her that I will not hang out with Emily alone and only go to her place when my wife is with me. My wife did not like me dodging the question and kept on prodding. I invoked our don't ask, don't tell policy that we have followed for more than 10 years now. My wife is upset at me that I am not giving her a straight answer. I, on the other hand, feel that it is unfair to me to tell her about Emily now when she forbade me to talk about it for all these years. I know that there is a good possibility that my wife would freak out again after knowing the truth, and most probably ask me to never see Emily again. I wanted opinions on what I should do in this case. Am I wrong to keep the truth from my wife because we made a promise to never bring up my past, which is horrible when I think about it now? Or, is my wife in the wrong to break our policy by asking me about Emily? Added comments. Commenter.
Ita.
Dude, use common sense. You let a friend that you used to sleep with move into your home. You didn't see it becoming a problem? That was 14 years ago when we did that. We were kids compared to now, and I do not think that was relevant. Moreover, my wife never wants me to talk about my dark phase and has reiterated that to me over all these years. She wants to keep up the illusion that I am a religious fellow she married who she plans to go to heaven with. Update. I posted a few days ago regarding not telling my wife that my best friend and I were FWB a long time ago. I did this because my wife did not want to know about my horrible past, and we had a don't ask, don't tell policy in our marriage. I thank all of you for your comments and confirming what I already knew in my mind. Lying to my wife and keeping my past from her was never my intention, but we have been married for 10 years now, and I did not risk losing my wife's trust and respect over something that happened 14 years ago. I talked to my wife over the weekend. The truth was far more horrible than what I wrote in the previous post. I sat my wife down and told her that I want to come clean and tell her about everything. I told her that I have some conditions, though. Firstly, I will not give a yes and no answer to her question, and she will have to listen to all the details. She can judge me, but has to know that I am not the man I was at that time. I was a horrible, morally bankrupt person before she met me, but through God, family, and therapy, I have overcome my demons and work every day to repent my sins. Secondly, she will have to answer questions about her feelings truthfully to me after she hears about my past. She agreed. I told her the truth about Emily and me. Emily and I have been friends since high school. While I went to college, Emily stayed home and started a job. She has been dating my friend Josh since high school. I discovered a whole new world in college and found myself drawn to behaviors that I knew were against God's will, including engaging in sexual relationships with multiple partners at a time. It was like a game for me. Once, I was visiting my parents over a break, and Emily was curious about my college life. I described my sexual experiences to her, and she kept asking more and more questions. One thing led to another, and we started sleeping together. Josh and Emily were saving themselves for marriage and waiting for Josh to get a steady job. This lasted for 3 years, and Emily and I hooked up every time I visited home. It was our little secret. When I finally decided to seek help, I informed Emily about it. She made me promise to never talk about our fling to anyone. I felt guilty never telling the truth to Josh, but she broke up with Josh soon after. I rediscovered my spirituality and recognized the importance of repentance and recognition of my personal sin. Since then, I have lived a very disciplined life and have been a loyal husband to my wife. Amy had tears in her eyes, and I really was scared that she would leave me after hearing about my horrible past. However, she told me that she still stands by the fact that she cares about my present and my future and would never judge me. She said that God, in His infinite mercy, did not abandon me. My wife assured me that she loves me and always will. She trusts me, but just wanted to know about Emily since things have changed now. I asked her if any of my actions suggested that disloyal and why Emily. She told me that when Emily's husband's affair came to light, it was very shocking how such an upstanding, God-fearing man would have a years-long affair with his coworker and father a child out of wedlock. This was not an isolated incident, as we had similar incidents happen in our church during the last few years. Amy told me that it just shook her to the core. Amy was the one who suggested Emily and kids move in with us until her husband moved out of their family home. Emily only stayed with us for a week. Emily started calling us a lot as we supported her through this tough time. However, it bothered my wife that Emily would just call me during evenings after work, after her kids went asleep, for support. We would just sit and talk for 30 to 45 minutes and I would leave. The final straw was a week ago when we all went to a park with Emily's kids, and I was chasing them while my wife and Emily were talking. Emily told my wife that I would one day be a great father and how much I love her kids. She told my wife to start trying harder to have kids so that we can complete our family, and hopefully God would make me a father soon. My wife has struggled with infertility issues, and despite trying every medical procedure, God has still not blessed us with a child. I have suggested adoption, but my wife says that God will hear our prayers, and we just have to try as hard as we can. Amy said that her discussion with Emily made her feel incomplete and bad that she is not able to make me a father. Her head started spiraling, and she started thinking that since I love Emily's kids and Emily is now single, I might leave her to go to Emily. That was the reason she wanted to know if Emily and I were ever romantically involved. I assured Amy that I would never betray her, and she is enough for me. It was very emotional to see her feel bad about things she cannot control. I also am to blame, as I am sure God is punishing her for my sins in the past. However, I intend to be loyal to the woman who literally saved me and be the best husband possible. I again thank all of you for being frank and straightforward and helping me tell my wife about my past. Added comments. Commenter. I think it might be time to take a step back from your friendship with Emily. Her actions are shady, calling you after work every night, telling your wife how much you love her kids. Op. I had already decided to do that as my wife feels uncomfortable with the situation. Her comfort is more important to me than friends. Commenter. Are you still friends with Josh? Op.
No.
I cut contact with a lot of people after I started therapy. I wronged him and felt guilty to be around him. However, I never told what happened because of Emily. In fact, I had not thought of him for a really long time until this weekend when talking to my wife. Commenter. LOL, imagine trying to be a better person while staying friends with the girl you betrayed your friend with. Moving to the next story.
My 23F, current boyfriend, 24M, saw a nude of my ex, 24M. How do I help him feel less insecure? My ex, Harold, and I were together for about 5 years. We got together at the age of 17 and broke up around 22. It was not a great breakup. He cheated on me for years, and got incredibly toxic and cruel towards the end. I have not talked to him even once since we separated and have no idea what he's doing with his life. My current boyfriend, Johnny, and I have been together for 8 months, but we were friends in middle school. We saw each other at a restaurant, barely remembered each other, and have been together since. Look, I've gone through so many email accounts in my life. Right now I have 3 email accounts that are in frequent use. I can't imagine the amount of email accounts I've made that are still active but no longer in use. I needed to get into a very old email account, made in 2011, that I retired about 3 years ago for a specific document in the Google Drive. I have a Pixel phone. So when I add a Gmail account to my phone, it adds everything. Contacts, photos, calendar items, etc. I found out about this because there was suddenly a calendar item that 16-year-old me made. It was to be married, basically. I missed my own wedding, lol. So Johnny and I thought it would be funny to look through the old email to find random shit I left in there. We found some really cute pictures of us as kids that I thought were lost, and some other cute things. But while looking at the photos, an old dick pic of Harold from when we were together was there. If I had known this would be there, I would have never shown Johnny until all the crap was deleted. Not only because nobody wants to see that shit, but also for Harold's privacy. It was a low-effort dick pic that I probably honestly didn't even mean to save, but because Google Photos backs up everything, it just got lost there. Harold's dick is bigger than Johnny's. I don't care though. And that's not just me saying that. I don't care. Johnny and I had a short conversation about the insecurity of his size. I confirmed that sex is amazing with him. I am always satisfied, I am happy, I do not think of Harold. I don't care about him. I am more than satisfied. One thing that I really liked about Johnny was that he never started an awkward, so my dick is small, kind of conversation. He never mentioned it, just had sex and did a phenomenal job from the beginning. I never mentioned it either, because it literally is not something I think about, ever. He was always so confident in himself, willing to learn, humble, etc. both in and out of the bedroom. Anyway, after our conversation, I really thought he was okay. But sex has been less frequent, he initiated less, and he has started turning the lights off before taking his clothes off. I've tried being more enthusiastic and initiating more. But it's not really changed anything. He's always brought up problems when they arise. I've never really had to worry about if we're okay, because we've always been proactive about communication. I think this is a bigger problem and he's too worried, embarrassed, scared to bring it up to me. I'm really heartbroken for him. I don't know how to have a conversation with him about this. I'm here looking for some pointers on how to start this conversation and make him feel better about our sex life or himself, even. What would you say? Or what would you want to hear? I will have a conversation with him about this soon, I just want to start it the right way. Thanks in advance. Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter thinks it's weird OOP has so many email accounts. LOL, it is weird that I have that many email accounts, I definitely agree. The 3 that I have now have been the same for a couple years now. But I used to have a bunch as a teen for a bunch of different things. I'm weird about keeping stuff separate. Commenter, this subreddit is called Relationship Advice, so here's some advice. It's worth the time to delete pictures of your exes so you don't hurt the feelings of someone you care about down the road. Regardless of the amount of email accounts you have, if you had truly let your ex go, there wouldn't be any pictures or anything to worry about. Downvoted. The account was sunset before my ex and I even broke up. I did not know the picture was there. All pictures I knew of have long since been deleted. This is an honest mistake. This was also not the advice I was looking for. Commenter, downvoted, but there were several like this. The amount of people who do this and pretend it was an accident is off the charts. 99% chance it wasn't really an accident and that you wanted to make him jealous. OOP, I've been intentionally not responding to comments because there's no point in arguing with people online, but this one really got to me, so congrats. Update post. So, after my previous post, I gave it a couple days to really think about what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. Johnny and I actually had sex one more time between the post and the conversation, and he seemed just as insecure. So, I sat him down and told him I wanted to talk to him about something. Instead of saying, "Hey, are you insecure about your dick?" I told him that I noticed he was acting a bit different during sex and wanted to know if there was something he wanted to talk about or if there was anything I could change to make him feel more comfortable. He was quiet for a long time and then finally said that he was worried that I was unhappy with our sex life. He said that he knows I'm more kinky in bed than he is, but never thought it was a big deal. It's not. After seeing the nude from my ex, he started to really think about our sex life, and about why I might have stayed with my ex, Harold, as long as I did. He knows about all the crap I had to endure with Harold, but something I never talked about was my sex life with him. Johnny said that he was worried that I was with him because he treats me well, not that I have any desire for him. And that he would never measure up to Harold in bed, and so he got insecure. He felt like the only reason I stayed with Harold so long was because of the good sex. I was so surprised, y'all. It took me a long time to come up with the right thing to say. I asked him if I ever made him feel like he wasn't desired. He said no, but that I compliment him so much and so often that I could just be playing it up. I constantly compliment him. If he's gone for the night, like a work trip or a separate vacation, I'll ask for selfies and then gush over them. I call him beautiful, cute, handsome, gorgeous, etc. in casual conversations. But I definitely don't play it up. I am genuinely obsessed with him. I asked if I ever made him feel inadequate or unsexy in bed or if there was anything in our current sex life he wanted to change. Again, resounding no. I told him that I did not stay with Harold for the sex. In fact, the sex was downright deplorable after finding out about his infidelity, but I felt obligated in order to keep him faithful. I explained that I was with Harold for so long out of fear and the sunk cost fallacy. I told Johnny that yeah, I am with him because he treats me well. He is so good to me and makes me feel like I don't deserve him most days. Our sex is amazing. I am more than satisfied whether some of my fantasies are fulfilled or not, and I don't want to change anything about our sex life on my end. Part of the reason our sex is so great is because I trust him, I love him, and I'm confident around him. I told him that I never once compared the two, except to marvel at how I truly believed I could never find anything better. He asked some follow-up questions about our sex life, his dick size in particular, and I answered them all honestly. I also had some questions to make sure we were all good. It was a nice, well-rounded conversation and we both discovered some things that we probably would have never found out otherwise. We've had sex since then, and let me tell y'all, mind-blowing. We've not been able to keep our hands off each other in the last 6 days. I didn't know whether or not to post this update, but honestly, some of the advice I got was downright terrible. Send him nudes daily, fake orgasms more often, don't say anything and let him get over it. And some of the crap that was said really scared me, too. It's over, no man can ever get over that, you clearly did this on purpose and he knows it. Don't get me wrong, I did get some good advice, and had some good conversations, too. So, I'm posting this update to tell anyone in the future that has this problem. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Don't push it. Open the floor for them to tell you what's wrong, don't just make assumptions. Listen to understand, not just to respond. I did not handle this perfectly, and I did have some things to work through and change, because I'm not perfect. Be prepared for criticism. It was not my fault he saw that stupid picture. But it's not his fault that he started to overthink either. This is a case of a lack of communication and insecurity on both sides. TD, LR we're happy, the issue is solved, Reddit advice is not always applicable to real-life issues, and I'm gonna go show my man just how happy I am. OOP's only comment. Of course everything is deleted. It was deleted immediately after realizing it was there. I honestly thought this would have been a given. My fault for not clarifying. Yes, all pictures have been 100% deleted.